Let's jump to this story from NPR. Episcopal Church refuses to resettle white Afrikaners, citing moral opposition. Oh boy. So Donald Trump's bringing in refugees from South Africa. I say based. That is the right thing to do. And I know the liberals are screaming, hypocrite, hypocrite. That's because they're not smart enough to read the news. And I'll explain exactly why these people deserve to get asylum. They say, in a striking move that ends a nearly 4 decades old relationship between the federal government and the Episcopal Church, the denomination announced on Monday that it is terminating its partnership with the government to resettle refugees, citing moral opposition to resettling white Afrikaners from South Africa who have been classified as refugees by President Trump's administration. In a letter sent to members of the church, the most Reverend Sean W. Rowe, the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church, said that 2 weeks ago, the government informed Episcopal Migration Ministries that under the terms of our federal grant, we are expected to resettle white Afrikaners from South Africa, whom the U.S. government has classified as refugees. The request, Rowe said, crossed a moral line for the Episcopal Church, which is part of the global Anglican Communion, which boasts among its leaders the late Bishop Desmond Tutu. In light of our church's steadfast commitment to racial justice and reconciliation and our historic ties to the Anglican Church of Southern Africa, we are not able to take this step. Accordingly, we have determined that by the end of the federal fiscal year, we will conclude our refugee resettlement grant agreements with the U.S. federal government. That is specifically because they are white people. The church has ended a 40-year relationship to receive money to resettle refugees. These people are unrepentant racists. And I will tell you right now, the reason why it is based to bring these people into the United States as refugees has nothing to do with their race. Because I will say what I've said the whole time. I think it is good the United States brings in asylum seekers, real ones, not people from Eritrea who fly to Brazil and then travel all the way up through Central America to illegally enter our country and then claim to be an asylum seeker. Not the people from Venezuela who travel all through South and Central America to come to the U.S. to claim to be an asylum seeker, but the people who apply legally online or through a consulate and then are legally granted that status. I don't care if they're from Venezuela. I don't care if they're from Brazil. I don't care if they're from China. If they file their paperwork with a consulate and they get approved legally, be it asylum, refugee status, temporary protected status, or full-on permanent residency. You do it through the legal process. These South Africans did that. They didn't fly to Mexico and illegally cross our border. And so I say, good. That's how asylum should be handled. And now these racists are like, if they come from Guatemala, traveling through a bunch of countries, stopping in Mexico, and then screaming no to asylum in Mexico, which literally happened, I say they are ripping us off and they are lying. But if they apply, wait in their home country, get approved, and then come, I got no problem with that.
Well, it's okay to be racist if it's towards white people today. I mean, isn't that what Ilhan Omar said? Like, white men are the biggest threat to our coury right now.
AOC
I feel so threatened in this room with all of you here. Only white men in here. What's up with this?
Well, actually, I got to stop you there. Serge is African-American.
Right.
Oh, yeah. What's that joke now? That gingers are African-American? Is that because orange is
No, Serge is literally African.
Legit.
He's from
Oh, you're actually African?
We resettled this one. Yeah.
It's from
Because I saw a trend on TikTok.
South
All the
Africa.
gingers are like, do I get
Yes.
the N-word pass? And I'm like, I just missed that joke.
But that's because these woke groups are claiming gingers are black.
But what?
I don't know. I mean,
Isn't it a skin color?
no.
They're a
it's not.
minority.
It's not. It's not. This is why I often tell people woke does not have anything to do with philosophy or ideology. Right? There's no logic behind it. You get all these people come out and they're like, woke means critical theory. No, it doesn't.
It means
Woke-
lack of thinking. Not critical
Woke
thinking.
is just adherence to the cult.
Yeah.
There is a cult. It exists in the liberal sphere. And if you agree with it, you're in. If you disagree with it, you're out. It is cult-like adherence to their orthodoxy. That's why the Coalition of Communities of Color said Slavic people are people of color. So Luke Rudkowski, blonde hair and blue eyes, white Polish guy, is considered a person of color to them. And I'm telling everybody, there's no rhyme or reason or logic to how they operate or what their function is. It's just agree with us or you don't. Are you in the cult or are you out of it?
I wish there was woke when I was applying to college because I would have ticked every
There was.
box. and
There
just
was,
say,
you just didn't
when
know,
I was
yeah.
applying,
It's been there for decades.
Yeah.
Woke's kind of been the standard operating procedure since 2010 or so, 2011.
I mean, I wish I just could have identified as anything I wanted for DEI reasons and then gotten into
okay.
like every Ivy League ever.
But you could have.
Well, I didn't know. I was normal.
But this has always been the problem with the implementation of these like affirmative action programs.
Right.
There was, Serge, you probably know this one. You remember when that blonde South African guy applied for the African American scholarship or whatever?
And he got it?
No.
Oh. I just got so happy.
He showed up. So my understanding of the story is that he genuinely didn't understand. Because African American isn't we don't use, people around the world don't use phrases like that. They just say black. And so this blonde white dude sees that there's a scholarship for African Americans and he's from South Africa. So he applied. He shows up to the meeting to read his essay or whatever. And they're like, excuse me. And he's like, I'm here for the scholarship. Right. And they're like, but you're white. He's like, oh, I'm from Africa. And they're like, no.
It's so weird that I had to tiptoe around using normal terminology. It took me so long to get accustomed to describing someone as black because technically Elon Musk is African American too. You could be white and African American, but then you can't describe a person of color as only African American.
You can say person of color, but you can't say colored person.
But which color?
Which is ridiculous. You can't say colored person. That's offensive. But person of color. That's ridiculous.
But this is the problem. Serge, correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't colored person mean mixed race?
Yes, in South Africa, a colored person is someone that is of descent of mixed race, or usually is from in South Africa. A lot of the people from Southern Africa are usually lighter skinned. The northern people, the northern darker people, came from the north in the Bantu migration because we were there first, and then eventually the skin color changed. But that group of people, the colored people on the western side of the country, mainly speak Afrikaans and are Afrikaans-speaking people.
And this is not the American offensive term, colored person.
No.
My understanding is that during apartheid, which maybe you can say apartheid was offensive, sure, there was, what they call it, black, colored, and white were the categories.
What was the difference between black and colored?
Colored is mixed race.
Okay,
yes,
exactly. So light skins, as we would call it.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
I guess.
They use the word colored, CLOURED, to refer to themselves as their racial group. Some people get angry about me saying that. I'm like, well, then take it up with them, man. If you want to be mad about it, tell them to not. Go tell those people not to say that they're colored.
Or not to ask us to refer to them that way. Yeah. But in the United States, it's different. So there's a funny story. There's I hate to call out this business because they're really great, but I got to tell the story anyway. In Charlestown, there's this really great brewery called Abolition Ale Works. And Serge knows exactly where this is going. They have signs everywhere that say Abo. And we brought Richie there, who's Australian, and he nearly had a heart attack.
Wait, why?
Because that's the N-word in Australia.
Really?
Aboriginal. And so Abolition Ale Works had Abo on a bunch of pieces of art, and he walked in and he was like, whoa, that's crazy. And it's it means something different in America. It doesn't mean anything. But to an Australian, different things mean different things.
Well, back to the headline. I didn't have a chance to dig into it today. And I didn't really understand the controversy. And until you just clarified it, I thought Trump just brought them in. And I'm like, well, that's kind of hypocritical, isn't it? And then now I'm seeing that they filled out the applications, they got approved, and they came in legally. And I'm like, what's the controversy?
They're waving American flags.
It's because they want to paint Republicans as anti-immigration, but then you see we're not anti-immigration. We just want it done the right way. So it doesn't fit their narrative, and they have to spin it in a way that fits theirs.
These are families, not military-age men. Right. And before we weren't able to claim asylum for any refugee status like this. The U.S. actually had a huge embargo on South Africa because of apartheid, which may have been right, may have been incorrect. I wanted to speak for it. Obviously, I don't want segregation, but America had it too. It's not like they're just high and mighty. We would never do that. It's you guys fought a war about it. A huge thing.
It's not even that deep. It's just do it the right way. I don't care.
We were never allowed to do that until now, and now we're able to do that. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people being like, "Hey, I want to get the hell out of here. I'd like to move to the U.S. and become an American."
How insane is it that in South Africa they literally chant and sing "Kill the white people"? Kill the white farmer specifically, right?
No, but Israel is apartheid, not South Africa.
But the left is that's just a protest song. It doesn't mean anything. And it's bro, are you kidding? They're jumping up and down and singing.
Well, the left clearly they made it clear they love terrorists.
I do want to read this though. There's some important information there. They say the Afrikaners were met on arrivals at NBC News by U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau. Landau said that Trump's pause of the U.S. refugee program was from the very beginning subject to exceptions. When it was determined to be in the interest of the United States, he cited the example of when the refugees could be assimilated easily into our country. They tell quite harrowing stories of the violence that they faced in South Africa that was not redressed by the authorities by the unjust application of law. The United States, as we were proud to say, has stood for equal justice under the law and the fair and impartial application of law. In an executive order issued on February 7th, Trump said the U.S. The United States would help with resettling Afrikaner refugees escaping government-sponsored race-based discrimination, including racially discriminatory property confiscation. The executive order also said the U.S. would no longer provide aid or assistance to South Africa. It came after a new South African land law went into effect that seems to reflect the views of Elon Musk. Now, it's been a while since we've gone over this, but Trump had a pause on the refugee program. I will say this, because I do want to pull that up and make sure it's correct. I disagree with this. If they're arguing these people can be easily assimilated, therefore they get an exception to any kind of pause on refugee status, I disagree with that. But I ain't throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I agree with the U.S.'s legal migration practices. Donald Trump has previously said, we want more migration, but legally. There's a lot of people that don't want that at all. There's a lot of people on the right that say, no more immigrants. And we'll see where Donald Trump goes with it. I think it's great when we have immigrants that come to this country and assimilate properly, economically and culturally, so that we can maintain our moral traditions and we don't clutter the country with low-skilled labor and then destroy the base level of our economy.
I mean, I genuinely love the cultural diversity. Like, I live in New York, and all of my immigrant friends are obviously legal immigrants. And by the way, one of my closest friends is a legal refugee from Ukraine who came since the war started. And it's just like, again, repeating the same point I said earlier, it's not that we're against immigration, but you have to do it the right way, because otherwise, how do you differentiate who's coming here that's like secretly Hamas, and then how do you differentiate who's coming here to actually make their lives better and chase the American dream? And the only way to do that is through the documentation and the vetting. And it's just, if you want to come here and you actually want to have a better life, then do it the legal way. Otherwise, you're just going to be kicked out.
And this is the legal
Not that
way.
controversial.
Just a quick aside. I want to show this post from @Timcast News. Guys, if you're on X, follow @Timcast News. We got this post. Take a look at this. Both pictures are from the White House press conference today. The orange filter that the fake news media places on Donald Trump is insane. Here's what Trump looks like in an actual video. And you can see he does have a tan. He's got fake tan of some sort. Take a look how they put him in the articles. I mean, come on. Look at that. They have to be increasing the saturation.
They do. This has been debunked already. The same debate on Fox and CNN. CNN made him look so orange, it looks like you powdered his face in Cheetos, and he looked normal on Fox.
I bet I was watching today, and I was thinking the same thing, because on one channel, once again, and they'll argue, no, it's just that we use color. It's normal. It's bro.
No, it's not.
It's crazy. Let me see if
There was one day I saw the president in person, subtle flex, and then that night he did a press conference, and I was like, Mommy, I swear he was not orange when I saw him today. And she was like, I don't know, he looks pretty orange now.
Ever since the Joe Rogan, making him kind of gray colored thing, everyone, even if they're not, and it just has to do with the lighting or the lens, it doesn't matter, because people are going to think they did, or at least believe they did.
This is a picture from The Guardian. Look at this. Like, it's small, but they all do it. I've met this man in person. He does not look bright orange.
Right? He doesn't look orange in person.
That's
they
so
do him
weird.
so dirty. I want to go back what you said earlier. You said the word assimilation, and my mind went elsewhere. Can you guys? What came out today in the UK? He said something along the lines of, they're going to crack down more on immigrants that want to assimilate by making sure they're proficient enough in English.
In the UK.
Yeah, in the UK. And I thought, oh my God, imagine America did this. I meet so many people who don't speak a word of English after 50 years here.
The Trump administration did make an executive order saying that the United States, the official language of the United States,
Yeah, but that's
is English.
totally different. He's saying basically to qualify for immigration, you have to be
that's in the UK.
proficient in the UK.
If I understand correctly, you have to become a citizen. You have to be able to speak English here.
I know so many legal immigrants who definitely don't speak English.
It's something that we talked about, and I honestly, I think that you should have to be able to speak English to come to the U.S. on a green card or anything. A language is an operating
Green
system.
card.
There are a bunch of phrases that you can only say in English because they wouldn't make sense if you as a literal translation. So you have to be like, well, it's like saying. So I think that because it helps to foster assimilation and a cohesive society. I think that it's important for all Americans to speak English. If you want to come here, you should have to speak English. The government shouldn't be printing up official paperwork or whatever in Chinese and Mandarin and Spanish.
100%.
And there should be just English, and you should have to learn it.
And so many people try to make that seem like it's racist. But my
care.
argument is like, no one forced you to come here.
Yep.
Listen, I'm a practicing Jew. I keep all my cultural traditions. We have beautiful freedom of religion. I'm not proselytizing it. And it's like, if you came to America, there was a reason. You clearly loved the values here. You saw the potential here. So what's the point of bringing the disasters from your country here just to replicate them? Like, you're trying to escape something clearly. Don't bring all that nonsense here. Just go back to wherever you came from. And that's not racist. It's called like assimilation. Either you contribute or you're making it worse.
What they want, what they had in their home country, but they want to be rich.
That's essentially the long and short of it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.